In our country, we have a tradition of reducing knowledge to short aphorisms, which might be a dozen words long or even less. We have sutras, shlokas, dohas, chorals, etc. Each of these aphorisms contains huge amounts of knowledge, and each word of these aphorisms is meaningful. There is great advantage in reducing knowledge to aphorisms like this. You can memorize these aphorisms and then revise them several times in a day, with the result that you carry your entire knowledge along with you. You don't need a book, you don't need a laptop. The entire thing is in your mind all the time. Another advantage is that when you reduce knowledge to an aphorism, you have to concentrate and go to the very essentials of an issue, so that in just about a few words you could say what you want to say. Otherwise, you tend to become verbose, you write pages and pages, beating about the bush, struggling to say what you want to say. In this series of videos, I am going to follow this ancient Indian tradition and create a kind of aphorisms that I call PrabandhaSutrani. I will be developing these videos, enunciating each sutra and then putting it in perspective, in the perspective of modern knowledge and in the perspective of ancient knowledge also. While defining and explaining the sutras, that is PrabandhaSutrani, I will be using Sanskrit words rather than their English equivalents. The words that I am going to use are embedded in a religious and cultural tradition. They contain within them a worldview which is very significant for acquiring an understanding of these words. Take the word Prabandha, for example. It is not the exact equivalent of manage. The word manage, if we study its etymology, has in the background the training of horses. So, management tends to imply controlling others, directing others, working on others. Prabandha, on the other hand, has in the background the word bandha, which is binding. So, in Prabandha, you don't control, you don't direct, you don't make others work. You integrate them. You integrate persons and resources in order to produce the best results. So that is why I would like to use Sanskrit words instead of trying to translate them into English and use the English equivalents. Most of the management theory, that is modern management theory, presumes conflict to be fundamental to the workings of any organization. And by organization, I mean any organized group of people, whether it is a business organization, a political party, an educational institution, or even a nation. Conflict is presumed to be fundamental, and the major role of a manager is taken to be conflict resolution and keeping conflicting forces in a kind of a homeostatic balance. Now, when you think and visualize it in terms of a homeostatic balance, which brings a tug of war and maintains it at a kind of a midpoint, then potentially you are working with a situation where conflict becomes an essential part or an integral part of the organization. This would be clear if we look at some of the common uses of the word manage. You ask somebody, how is your diabetes problem? And he will say, I'm managing it without medicine. The principal of a school or college takes a student to the teacher and says, this student has come to us with a very negative history. And the teacher says, don't worry, I'll manage him. So management does not create the impression of optimal and best utilization of the potential. By contrast, Prabandha is quite different. Our present system of handling situations and running organizations, again, I want to use the word organization in its multiple meanings. Our style of running organizations not only focuses on handling conflict, but also feeds conflict into the system. Extreme competition, cutthroat competition, the tendency to grab resources, which results in insecurity, all these tend to fill the organizations with conflict. The result is, we create conflicts, we fill organizations with conflicts, and then we bring in managers to hold that conflict in a kind of balance. This approach has resulted even in building conflict into man's relationship with nature. We are today in conflict with nature, and nature that used to bring clouds and rain when the crops required them, today has either changed its schedule or brings so much rain that it causes floods. So what we have lost is harmony. Prabandha, on the other hand, focuses on harmony. And this is what brings us to our first sutra. And the first sutra is Samanvayaha eva Prabandhaha. Samanvaya is Prabandha. Prabandhaha focuses on integration. Integration of individual with other individuals, organizations with other organizations, political groups with other political groups, nations with other nations. This concept of joining together and integration is fundamental to Indian culture, Hindu culture. It is the basis of entire philosophy given in our scriptures. Yoga is joining together. Yoga is the integration of the mind with the body, the human soul with the eternal soul, the human being with the society, the human being with the nature. So this is our fundamental approach. Join together, join everybody and everything into a Vasudeva Kutumbakam, where the entire universe is one single whole, enlivened and spirited by the Supreme Soul, by Om by Parameshwaraha. Let us then come back to our first sutram, that is Samanvayaha eva Prabandhaha. Samanvaya is Prabandhaha. What exactly is Samanvayaha? Samanvayaha is complete and perfect cooperation, perfect harmony, growing together, being at peace with each other, sharing energies, inspiring others and getting inspired, working together towards common goals. This is Samanvaya. Samanvaya is that integrating style which results in the coalescence of powers, so that 1 and 1 do not become 2 but 11. So I'll be going into the total implications of this sutram in my next videos, and from there then I'll build up other sutrani. Of course, somebody may say, doesn't whatever you say sound somewhat utopian? Is it possible to have this type of an ideal situation? My answer would be, it appears utopian because we have grown up with a world view which is not ours. So we must first train ourselves to get back to our roots, to get back to that culture which taught us to be peaceful with ourselves, be peaceful with others, work on that power which is within us, the Ishwaraha which resides within us. So once we begin to go back to that concept, those concepts and that culture, this will not then remain utopian, as you will see in the course of these videos. I am fully aware that the issues are complex and we'll need to analyze them in all their complexity. Can we work without competition? Isn't competition an essential element for the drive that is required for progress? Is it necessary to bring in ancient Indian, ancient Hindu scriptures? Can we not just fine-tune the existing system and existing theories of management and build upon them? Is there going to be just a set of principles, or will there also be an action plan? Is it necessary to push the concept of management to bring out its negative aspects? Isn't it that modern management theory is largely constructive and creative? I'll take up all these questions in the course of my discussions, and I will try to provide answers to all these. Meanwhile, if you would like to utilize my services for improving the working of your organization, or if you have a management institution where you would like me to come and address your students, you are welcome to do that. Let me introduce to you Renu Arya Agrawal, who schedules my programs, interacts with people. So you can contact her and she will in turn try to fix my appointments. Thanks a lot for watching, and continue watching these series. I'm sure there will be a lot that you would get from this series. Thank you very much.